And Beth, I'll give you a chance. Do you have any words you'd like to start with?
I don't. It's just lovely to see your faces. I apologize for my doggy barking in the back if you can hear that. Uh, but my son is just getting home, so I likely will not stay on for this entire meeting, for which I apologize.
Okay, thank
But
you.
appreciate you all being here.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And can you make Linda the co-host? Because sometimes my internet closes out and then I lose the whole Zoom call. My name's Kathy Ebersberger. I'm the chair of the Immigration Task Force, and we have a small group that acts as our steering committee to determine what kinds of programs we're going to present. I imagine some of you have come to some of our programs, um, but we want to find out what local leagues are doing and give them a chance to talk to other local leagues about what's working for them, what hasn't worked, what kind of education. Love the dog, Beth. She's really cute. What kinds of things have worked? What kind of education or advocacy efforts you've undertaken, if you're just getting started, what questions you might have, um, just general tips and who you've connected with, and if you have any suggestions for what you would like to see from the Immigration Task Force, in terms of helping you guys do your work in your local communities. Um, So I think I'd just like to throw it out there, have everybody say what local league you're involved in, introduce yourself, how long you've been working on immigration efforts, and just give a little general introduction so people can get to know each other before we start a conversation. So I'll just ask Deanna if you want to start.
I would like to turn this over to Cindy Anderson, our Jefferson County League um, chairman president, because I have only been in Colorado for a couple of years now and only in the league for a couple of years. So
Yeah,
I'm not really up on what's going on. So I'm going to turn it over to Cindy Anderson.
that's fine. Thanks, Deanna. I'm glad you're
Thank
here.
you. Yes, me too.
Sydney.
I'm always glad when Deanna's here. She's maybe a short timer, but I'll tell you what, she does everything. And we're so happy to have her. So I'm Cindy Anderson. I'm president of the Jeffco League. And to my knowledge, I guess I'm really interested in learning from other leagues right now because I believe, and this is me, as I won't say I'm new, but I think that all we've done with immigration has to do with voter services and advocacy. And we do have collateral that we give to people to try to support them in their, if they're having difficulty, especially with voting, understanding their rights and making sure that they're registered, et cetera. But to my knowledge, that really is all the formal activity that we've been undertaking. I think there's interest in doing more. So I'm just kind of anxious to hear what's happening in the other leagues.
Susan, you want to go next?
Yes, I'm glad to be here. I looked back. I'm the director of program and advocacy with Denver, and we just had a program that we called Facts Over Fear, the value of our immigrant population in Denver. And this grew out of another meeting I was attending where our state legislator Imam talked about talking about how they appreciate incredibly all of the work that's being done to hand out Know Your Rights cards, helping people to if they can't go out to get food, all of those kinds of efforts. But she said that one of the things she really thought was missing was a general campaign to talk about all of the ways in which our immigrant residents of Colorado provide incredible benefits for us here in Colorado, and how they contribute and ways in which they contribute. And this tied in with also what we're hearing from National about fighting myths and disinformation and outright lies about immigrants. So we put together a program, and I think it was actually quite successful. We don't have really good filming kinds of equipment in Denver. We're trying to see if we can budget a little bit for that next year, but this was an in-person event, and you can watch it on League of Women Voters Denver's website. It was taped, and all of the slides that the various speakers provided are also there. So we invited the Colorado Fiscal Institute. I can't tell you what I would do without the Colorado Fiscal Institute. They are just incredible. And they gave a lot of information about, and I could go into detail, but you don't want to hear that, about how much both documented and undocumented people pay in taxes, how much support they give to things like they pay into Social Security. Our infrastructure is supported by them. And they have all sorts of wonderful data and information. We also invited a woman who is the head of the CSU Extension here in Denver, and she talked about agribusiness and essentially said we would not have agriculture in Colorado were it not for our immigrant population. But she's very careful about falling into sort of the trap of, nobody else but an immigrant will do that job, because she finds that so demeaning. And because a lot of the jobs that are done in agriculture, as those of you who are from outside cities know, is skilled labor. It is not just back-breaking out in the sun kind of work. We also invited the president of an organization here called Spring Institute for Intercultural Learning. And she's, that organization is just doing wonderful work. One of the programs she talked about is a program that they are supporting called, I think it Welcome Back, but there's more to it, where they work with medical professionals who come to Colorado from outside of the United States and have to go through enormous numbers of hoops to be able to practice medicine, even though they are certainly licensed in the countries they come from. And one of the big barriers they run into is being able to get residencies here. And so they worked with Denver Health Medical, and the people that they've worked with are placed all over the state. Almost all of them are in rural parts of the state, which desperately need medical professionals to provide care, as probably a lot of you know. And the fourth organization was she's not from an organization, but she's very active in the Latina community here. Olga Garcia is her name. And she talked a lot about the kind of the cultural kinds of things that immigrants have brought. Her family actually dates back 400 years in the southern part of the state, not long before any of probably our relatives landed on the Atlantic coast of the United States. So, and questions were asked about what's happening with temporary protective status, what's happening with asylees and refugees. They're losing health care coverage, SNAP benefits. I mean, there were lots of things that were discussed that it generated a lot of dialogue, and I think it was very beneficial. So it's a little bit different take on the immigration issue. But one of the things that we talked about in voter service is how are we going to encourage people to vote who are eligible to vote, who are immigrants, if they don't feel valued? Why would they vote if they don't feel that they are valued by us here in the state of Colorado?
Yeah. Oh, we had a member of our group attend that program, and she said it was excellent. So I'm looking forward to watching the recording. That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that.
And I think any of those speakers would, or they would know other people, but I strongly encourage you to invite Colorado Fiscal Institute. They just have done so much research, and they're so knowledgeable, and they present really well. And anyway, I'll be quiet now.
I appreciate that. I feel kind of weird calling on people, so if anybody wants to jump in, please do. Larimer or Boulder, or looks like Linda wants to jump in.
I will, because I want to applaud you, Sue. That sounds like an amazing program. And I'm so glad that you taped it, even with your faulty video. Maybe you can appeal to your members.
Well, we're budgeting. we're trying to budget to have some recording available for when we do in person. It's so easy when we have an event like this on Zoom to record, but it's not so easy if you have an in-person event.
And then who was in attendance? Was it mostly the community, or was it mostly your members?
It was divided. I mean, we had people representing organizations like Focus Points Family Center. I'm trying to think what other people from there were somebody from Hope Housing, where many refugees have found housing. I think there was someone there from Jewish Family Service, because they've been very involved in immigration services for many, many years, even though, of course, they lost their federal funding. So, and we really tried to get people who were not just, I shouldn't use the word just, we tried to get community people to come in as well as members, league members.
That's great. Does anybody else have any program they'd like to talk about? Maybe somebody from Larimer?
Yeah, I'll talk about a couple of things we've done in Larimer. We did sign the letter that Beth sent out that went to our national representatives, and I'd be interested to know if some of the rest of you did do that.
Are you talking about the reconciliation letter?
Yeah, the ICE funding.
Right.
Yes, we did.
We did do that. We did do that.
Kathy, are you going to mention what Brady said? Or shall I?
Oh, go ahead. Why don't you?
Sorry, I spoke with we spoke with our national advocacy colleague today, and he said that Colorado blew the other states out of the water with our response, our immediate response. So thank you.
It was so easy to do with the template. It was so easy to do. And I think that one of the things I would like to see this group do is, if we are the point people for our local leagues and we get that letter, or we get some call to action like that, that we prompt our boards. Cindy, maybe you got it, but I prompted my board to say, hey, this came through, we need to sign on to this. So that's one of the things I think that if we get contact people, around immigration and we can be tipped off to these call to actions, we can mobilize our boards to do that. Because it's easy to do. And then we
By the
start to have a
same
track record.
token, would you be interested in doing something like that on a state issue? I know we've got Senate Bill 5 that's
Yeah,
rolling
yeah.
around right now. Would local leagues like to do an action alert on that, or like us to do an action alert on that in the immigration issue group for the LAC? Is
Yeah.
that something you
It's
would
another
be
good
interested in?
example.
Yes. Okay.
You know, the LAC will write the template
Yeah.
for it with the documentation and then just send it out to the local leagues to send in on behalf of their local leagues. So yeah, the Senate Bill 5, definitely.
Yes.
So that's one thing we've done in action. The other thing that we did is that we're really fortunate in Northern Colorado. We have a pretty tight-knit group of secular faith community and civic organizations working on immigration reform. And we're connected with them for the purposes of promoting training, not only know your rights, but de-escalation training, training for faith communities, what to do when people come in. We've had a big campaign we've worked on with small businesses to say we are immigrant welcoming, immigrant friendly businesses. And our league members have gone out and talked to different small businesses that we know or that where we do business and say, you know, this is a campaign. We want to have these butterfly posters in your windows to say that you're an immigrant welcoming, friendly place. So that's another action campaign that we've done. And then we co-sponsored with 3 or 4 other organizations a de-escalation training in March, and we will do another one in May, which was sponsored and actually delivered by the Boulder Center for Peace and Justice. And it was a 3 to 4 hour training. We had about 15 league members who attended, in addition to giving them money to sponsor this event, but very useful in some content, but also some small group conversations about what do we do when we're at a rally or that we're in some kind of other public fair or festival. And we start to see some things start to get out of hand. What's our bag of tools that we can use to take the temperature down?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very useful. And I think a lot of us learned a lot from that Boulder group. And I think they would be willing to go to any other community around and give this training.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we've done. We have formed a subgroup of our civil liberties team that has probably 15 league members on it around the issue of immigration. So they are the group that are getting the announcements of these trainings, opportunities to be safety marshals at, you know, No Kings rallies, that kind of thing, where the escalation training would come into play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really pleased with the networking we've got with these other organizations. And I commend local leagues to find those groups in your communities that are doing that work because we need the collective action,
Definitely.
conversation.
And
Yeah,
I
so
think
those
the
are a
league,
couple of things.
I think the league is becoming much more friendly to doing things with local organizations that are activists in immigration. In fact, the National League came out with 2 toolkits for local leagues, which after the meeting, I'll send you guys the links to them. And they give local leagues some ideas on things that they can do in support of and in connection with other local like secular and civic organizations, faith organizations in their communities. So I think we're looking at trying to widen the net because this is a big problem. We need everybody to get on this issue. Um, does anybody else have something else that your league has done that you think you'd like to mention? Or Judith, go ahead.
I am just here really as an observer, but so I'm glad Linda is here because obviously she knows a lot more than I do. The only thing I can say is that we have just begun a task force called Why Vote, and I signed up for it. We just had training, and we're just beginning. This summer, we're going to have tabling events, and we're going to go different places, libraries, the college. I can't think of all the other places we're going to go to, and we'll have a table and we will talk to people about why they should vote. And we're learning about this, and I've been active with voter services, and this is almost a turnaround from what we do, because we ask people, oh, are you registered? And would you think to get the ball rolling. But this is just the opposite. We want to find out from them um, what their important issues are, and then show them how these issues tie to voting. And we just started that night. There were 3 trainings. Linda had, I took care, I was in one. Were you in any?
No, I've not been. I appreciate you mentioning that because I would really love to see other local leagues in the state get involved with this.
Yeah, and Janet Schultz said we're the first ones to do this, the first league here in Colorado. So I'm sure as time goes on, Linda will keep you up to date on how that is going, because it's just in its infancy.
That sounds great. Are you going to, like, for Why Vote, are you going to talk about issues or
Yes.
so you'll be
Issues,
talking about immigration?
programs, yeah. You're talking to someone who's just watched a video today. So it is real, and went to one training. And I think the first tabling event we have is Friday. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go. So it is just so new.
Mhm.
I hate to say any more about it, actually.
Well, the other piece of it, Kathy, that really sparked my interest is it's trying to engage people who may not be involved in the civic space about what issues are important to them.
Mhm.
And therefore, so what can you do or what are you doing? Are you
Mhm.
joining with an organization? Are you talking to your representatives? Are you talking to your neighbors about this issue? How can you impact the public policy and the conversation about this issue that you care a lot about?
Mhm.
Helping to people kind of think about, okay, I really am so concerned about this, but what can I do? And then brainstorming kind of with them
Mhm.
with some resources that we know of. And then, oh, by the way, voting for elected officials who share your passion would be another way to
Mhm.
influence it. So, I think it's a tremendous tool. And I understood that on the Interlock Friday calls that Janet and maybe Kathy Marr are talking about this so that other people in other parts of the state, but scaling it up to Colorado would be a dream
Mhm.
because and it's a national program with toolkits and training and details. So it's not something that League invented, but I think it fits very well with our mission.
Cindy.
Yeah, so I think you answered one of my questions, Linda. It's the toolkit's available. Is that on the US website or where is the
No,
toolkit available? And
no,
second
Judy,
question, is Kathy
or
Mars?
maybe Beth, do you remember it being mentioned on the Interlock? You're muted, Beth.
Which toolkit are you talking about, Linda? Sorry.
Called Why Vote? It's something that Larimer is starting through our Unite and Rise team. Janet said she was going to talk about it on the Interlock, I thought, but maybe she
Okay,
hasn't
it's
yet.
possible, and I missed an interlock last week, so it could be
Okay,
that.
it would have been really recent. But we
Mhm.
could
Can I
get it out to you. Judy,
can I
I
call
don't know.
Kathy? I mean, does Kathy Marr have the information?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Kathy
I know Kathy.
Meyer, Janet Schultz, yeah.
Okay.
And the video I watched today was from a nonprofit called Vote. So, and they've been around for quite a few years actually. But so I don't think what we have received and the information we received has come directly from the league. It's just
No.
part of Unite and Rise. Yeah, we're doing this under Unite and Rise.
Okay, so you're like coordinating with another group on this then. Is that right?
It's a national group that has the program materials that we've adopted and are
Okay, but
training our members to do.
okay. Has
There's no
has
other
the
entity
national
here.
also no,
No,
you just
not
got
that I
this
know.
national group and you're working with them on this.
Get the training materials. Mhm.
Okay. Are you adapting it for Larimer County or
No, Judy, what do you think?
I think there will be, that's hard to say because the materials actually come from this group, nonprofit called Vote. To start off the conversations. And actually, when we had our training, we had some good ideas of what else we'll be doing. It's just nuts. I just hate to say this, but it's like again, it's so new. And until I go to an
I'm
actual
sorry, I
event,
froze. Could you tell me the name of the national group?
I think it's called Vote. And they have,
Vote.org.
Am I back? No.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. They had the video, and the video was on YouTube, sent to us by Janet Schultz information. I can send somebody a copy, Kathy. If you give me your email, I can just forward you what Janet Schultz sent to me.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You could put it,
I'll put it in the chat right now.
okay,
It
great.
sounds like something, Cindy, you might be able to pick up and do in Jeffco to kind of expand what you already do.
I think that's right.
We got a big response, and I think we've had 2 trainings so far, and there are 2 more scheduled, and I imagine they'll do another one during the summer because we really want to push this out in the fall. But there's opportunities throughout the summer, fairs, 4th of July festival, this kind of thing, as well as, food banks, farmers markets. But the intent and the focus is really try to go to places where we don't see, more of the marginalized communities that we want to get engaged in the democracy space. Not the typical sit in front of the library, all the
Mhm.
well-read people. I mean, it's really designed to go into areas where we've not been. And partnering,
I think it's a great idea.
yeah,
I hate to interrupt, but one of our folks, so in fact, one of our members who does our eyewitness program also volunteers at food banks, and she and they have food banks for produce at this one particular market that she's talked about, and we're doing a collaborative activity with Denver because there's kind of some overlap with jurisdiction. So, but I think this sounds like a perfect plan for them because I think, had intended to do some voter registration and things, but this, I think, might be the perfect audience
Mhm.
for this program.
Yeah, I'll pass this along to Lisa Haddocks, who's the head of our voter service.
Well, that sounds great. Does anybody, maybe from another league, have any questions or tell us where you are with immigration advocacy?
I'm
Well,
gonna
let me
head
just
out,
say
folks.
something on behalf of the
Okay, bye.
Voter League.
Good night.
We're just getting started. We have someone who, we're fortunate to have the law school located in Boulder, and we have a law student who is interested in immigration law and is going to be our committee chairperson. But we're really just getting started. And so we're open to ideas and we'll take them back to our committee. We've had one meeting where we all just got acquainted. And so we're still figuring out just what we're going to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. That's what I wanted to have this meeting for, was to give both groups that haven't done much, some ideas, and groups that have, maybe to cross-pollinate a little bit.
Well, I
Um,
would say, now I've been a member of the league for a very long time. I know Linda Mahan. I don't know if you remember me, but
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm actually a life member. I've been
oh, wow.
a member since I was able to vote. Um, and some years ago, we did an immigration position on our own.
Hmm.
We had someone who was very enthusiastic about it, and it was kind of an offshoot of our social policy committee. Um, but that has kind of gone dormant. So I think there's a lot of enthusiasm out there, but we just haven't had a leader. And now we've
Hmm.
got someone who's going to start a new committee. And so I think, look out, world, we're gonna we're gonna be doing things.
Good. That sounds great. Jean, you're from Pagosa Springs. I know you've had some immigration activity down there. Um, what is your league? I know your league is very new and
Right.
probably
You know,
hasn't
we
really
just got started
organized any.
within the last year, and we really haven't done much yet. That's why I'm here to try to learn from you people what
Right.
we
I
might
know you
do.
got a lot of energy from the Durango situation.
Hmm. So I really don't have anything to report that we've done as a
Okay.
league here in Pagosa, but I
Do you have
appreciate
any
all your
questions?
ideas.
Do you
What's
have any
that?
questions? Do you have any questions?
I jotted down your address here, or actually, and I might send you an email and ask for more information. If
Sure.
then,
Um, Amy, go ahead. You're on mute.
Um, I'm I'm in Cortez with another person here. I'm new to the league, but the league has worked with has invited Hans Meyer, an immigration lawyer,
Hmm.
to speak, which was a powerful program. Um, The other thing that the league has done is to coordinate on a couple of different occasions with a group in Durango called Compañeros. Um, they do a lot of community engagement, um, and they were very involved in the situation in Durango where the family who was applying for asylum was held and deported with the father and his two children.
Hmm.
So that event has really galvanized this area of Southwest Colorado.
Yeah. And
Lori,
that
do you
brings up a
have
great point. The contacts with other community groups is really important. How did you find that group?
um they're just active in
You
immigration.
just knew of them?
I you can't be in this area and not
Hmm.
interact with them.
Did any other groups have trouble finding community organizations to partner with on certain things, or finding speakers or anything like that? Do you have any kind of ideas of places where some of these groups that are just getting started could look for organizations, or the type of organizations to look for? Anybody?
Well, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I would say, Jean, it would be useful for you to contact Compañeros
Okay.
in Durango.
Hmm.
Gee,
There is a growing network
yeah. How do
of
you spell the name of the group that?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Diane.
Yeah. Diane, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was letting somebody
No
know.
problem. No problem. There is a group that's strong here in Boulder County and also is part of a statewide network called Immigration Partnership Team,
Yeah.
IPT. Very useful, at least here in Boulder County, in terms of being a nexus of knowledge and information about who's doing what and what's going on where.
Mm-hmm.
So that there, among other things, there is this central broadcasting, if you will, disseminating that wasn't necessarily intended to be, quote, central, but it has taken on that role here. I don't know if that's the case in other places around the state, but that's one of the great services, if you will, that this group has taken on, along with working groups doing some of the things that other people in other leagues were referring to, like going out to businesses and enlisting them in putting out a front facing, immigrant friendly culture. We're welcoming that.
Yes, those are great
Reaching out to the
resources.
schools, being a nexus among different collaborating groups. So IPT, Immigration Partnership Teams.
Mm-hmm.
So in an effort not to duplicate activity, one of the things following on from what Louisa was saying is that this newly organizing immigration advocacy group within the league in Boulder is being in touch with the IPT group here in Boulder County so that together we can explore with them what can the league in Boulder additionally bring to the table.
Right.
What
I think
bases
that's
are
great.
not being covered that would fall in the league wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
those
think
kinds of
that's
conversations.
fantastic. And those groups are
And they're
all over
probably an
Colorado.
asset in other places.
Yeah. Those groups are all over Colorado. So if you're in a local community and you don't have an immigration partnership team that you know of, just let me know, and I'm in touch with the people that organize the whole state. So we could get you in touch with that. So that'd be great. Susan, you had something to say? And thank you, Diane, that was fantastic to bring that up.
I'm glad to know that you are in touch with them, statewide. So that's really terrific.
Yeah. Susan, you had something?
Well, moving toward we have a primary, but moving toward the elections in the fall, is League going to be involved at all in anything around there? Has there been any discussion of being involved around safety at the polls for immigrants who are eligible voters and who are fearful that just showing up at the polls could be a problem? And I think some of that is also doing a lot more education about returning your mail-in ballot being an incredibly safe way of voting in Colorado. But looking ahead to the election, and there, in the past, there have been some noise about ICE people showing up at voter service centers, that kind of thing. Do we know anything at all about what could happen in the fall?
I don't know, but I will find out for you. I think that's an important question, and I think that's something that we need to know for both Cindy's campaign and for Larimer County's campaign.
Yeah.
I think that's an important piece of the puzzle that we need to really distribute information on. So
Yeah.
I will look into that.
Okay.
Lily, go ahead.
Do know, this is Diane again. I do know that Common Cause
Right.
is convening people people from around the state and having monthly Zoom meetings to discuss this very issue of preparedness for support and protection, if you will. Not protection, obviously, in the way of legal or law enforcement, but support and community security, my words, around the vote, around election day and around the vote
Mhm.
and around voting. So Common Cause, and I can't recall right now the woman who is the point person there.
I think her
But I
name's
would say Common Cause
Allie
Denver,
Blaircamp.
right? If you wanted to inquire of, what relationship there,
But I
but they
wonder
are,
if statewide, if League ought to be, collaborating with Common Cause, for example, or I don't know what we might want to do.
I
That's a
will
good
look
what I'm
point.
into
saying.
it
That's
and get
those
back to you.
conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look into it and get back to you. Linda,
Yeah.
you have something?
I have 2 points on that point, Susan. The election reform committee task force with Karen Sheik did have a really nice conversation last month or this month with the Secretary of State person in charge of risk management. And he talked about what they were doing from the Secretary of State's office. That video's online that you can watch. And then secondly, our Larimer County is doing a program on May 19th with our clerk, just a public education, like what does the process look like? How are your ballots safe and secure? And what are we doing here to protect you and have a fair and free election?
Yeah,
So
I
that
think
is something
that's
I think that will
important.
continue.
I think that's important, and I think the league is going to do that. We're just getting started on our preparations for the actual election right now.
Yeah, there's a 3-part thing with, I think, Boulder, Longmont, and Larimer too, that's
Mm.
coming up later on
Okay.
too. But I think that we put that back in the interlock conversation about what
Well,
they're
and
doing.
I think with respect to immigrants, really, education on mail-in voting is going to be hugely helpful because they don't have to go there. And um, I think that that's going to give a lot of people comfort. Beth.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up too that we have met with R.B. Miller from Isaac here in Larimer County, who works really closely with all of the immigrant support organizations in northern Colorado, and already talked about, possibly as we get closer to the election, to really get it out there to the community that if they are afraid to go to the polls, that yes, of course you can mail your ballot, but also, it's legal in Colorado to pick up 10 ballots and put them in a drop box. So we could actually set up something where we sign up people to say, hey, would you be willing to pick up ballots from the, immigrant community because they have them, but they're afraid to go to the drop box, or they're
Yeah,
afraid to go to the polls. And
I
so
think
we've
we
talked about that.
might want to be careful with that, just in terms of the league being associated with taking votes. Some people might accuse that of voting for people or collecting ballots. I mean, it has
If
some
if
possibilities.
someone asks you to take their ballot to the drop box, it is legal to take
That's
10.
fine.
So I understand what you're saying, but I think we also have to realize that it's legal, and if we're doing something legal, then we are protected.
Well, that's true, but
I
think
wonder if it would
maybe
be
have people
helpful
do that
to
as
identify as
individuals instead of as part of
yeah, it's
you know what I
and
mean? Say
numbers.
like put a different level into the conversation. So the league is directing you to people that you can register to take ballots. That would be different than the league taking ballots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say you can't do it. I'm just saying you need to consider that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could set it up that it's individuals doing it, but
Yeah, and
Yeah.
faith
Yeah.
communities, I think, faith communities.
yeah, there you go. I mean, right
Right.
now we're coordinating with those kinds of organizations, which I think is
Yeah,
what you're
so
talking about. We
could we
need to
just
partner
coordinate with
with
somebody
people that
else?
are already doing the work and find out
Right.
how we can assist them with that work.
That's the key.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
None of
I
us
I
want
don't
to
mean
lose.
to throw water on it. I think it's a great idea. It's just that we have to be a little bit removed from it.
Sure.
None of us want to lose our nonprofit status, do we?
No.
No, we do not.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't.
Lori, you had something.
Thank you. This isn't about voting, but it's another aspect of working on immigration issues, and that's detention centers.
Yes.
A couple of resources that we found that have been really helpful for one, just plain information, another for letting us know when there's legislation coming up that's related to detention and detention centers. I just wanted to share that because I think it's useful information. So Shutdown Geo is one organization. They are concerned with shutting down the Aurora Detention Center primarily, at least the Colorado effort is. And they just published a really, really great report. They've had access to interview some of the folks who are detained in Aurora to find out what conditions are like there. The reason I bring it up, and I think the league could have a place here, is because the conditions in the detention center are completely illegal. They're essentially being tortured. So, and access to the detainees is really, really limited. It's very, very hard for even our legislators to get in. And when they do get in, they don't get access to the whole facility. So I would suggest getting your hands on that report. I could try and find a link I can share in the chat. But basically it's Shutdown Geo. Amy, do you know any more about how to get a hold of that report just offhand?
I actually have that report. The State League did a program on April 14th on conditions at Geo. We had the authors of that report speak to us. And if you want a link to the recording, I'll get that to you and send everybody a copy of the report. It's really sobering.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to do, and there's just not enough time to do everything, but I was going to try to compare the jail standards for Colorado prisons with the conditions in the GEO Center.
Great idea.
And I mean, I know that GEO is federal, and so it's not governed by the jail conditions in Colorado, but I think that's important information for the community to have. And I have information on the jail conditions. I have not had time to go through them and compare them to the conditions at GEO. But if anybody wanted to get involved in that as a project, just let me know. I'd love to work on that with you. Susan, how about you?
And talking about detention centers, I think Hudson is, and you guys up north may know more about what's happening in Hudson, but I think they're also looking at, where is it, in Walsenburg and Ignacio, I think, in southern Colorado, about opening detention centers there. And I don't know if the local communities are pushing back on that, like they are in other parts of the country, but that might be something we need to be aware of as well, is the attempt to open new detention centers or buy warehouses or awfulness.
Does anybody know what county Hudson is in?
I can look it up right now.
Real quick on the Ignacio one, that's not going to happen. The tribe won't let it happen. It's the Southern Ute tribe, and they won't let it happen. They've already.
Hudson is in Weld County.
Weld County?
Yeah.
They're organizing over there. They've had sit-ins, stand-ins,
I know
rallies,
they have, I just wondered if
campaigns.
the league was involved. I was gonna
You know,
follow up on that.
yeah, I would like to know too. I tried to ask Barb Winery, but I didn't get a reply.
Yeah, I mean, Hudson only has a population of about 1,650 people.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem with
They
things like this,
they wouldn't have the infrastructure to support a
but I
detention
think
center.
they have the employment base, and it would be a real shot in the arm economically
Yeah.
for the community. And I think we have to really look at how the
Right.
the economics affect not only the exploitation that's being done against the actual
Yes.
detainees, but also the benefits to the local economy and how that
Yes.
it gets incorporated in the whole tax base
Yes.
of the county and things. I think that's a real big problem that happens, and then you don't know how to get out of it
Right.
because you're gonna lose all these jobs.
That's the carrot that's dangled in front of these towns.
Yeah. But I would like to also, and I know I'm not supposed to be, um, suggesting to you guys what to do, but I would also like to look at the economics and CFI might be a really good resource for this
Yes.
of how is that exploitation of the detainees happening? How much money is being made? And what are the benefits for the community? And what's the balance between big corporations making all this money, the exploitation against the detainees, and the benefits for the community? Um, I think it's an amazingly complicated problem. But that's just like with any privatization.
Right.
So, but I'm sorry I got off on a tangent. Lindy, you wanted to talk about the national
Yeah.
immigration.
Yeah, the national scene. So there's a very, very active national immigration special interest group. And I wonder how many of you are aware of that and maybe watching that for resources. Anybody know about that? Okay, and Kathy, maybe we can put that out. It's a
Yeah.
group that has a steering committee of probably 8 or 9 people from across the country. They're monitoring what's going on in their states. They're very active with communicating with the National League Advocacy, bringing bills to their attention, actually doing the legwork of we could support this bill, and have had good success, I think, in getting that advocacy from the League US. They are planning a caucus at the National Convention in Columbus. Actually, one of the state leagues, Washington, which I think you're probably all aware of that concurrence that they're asking to be put on the recommended program at the National Convention. And they're just a great resource. They have webinars about every quarter. They might do one on detention, or they might do one on the refugee situation. So I'd encourage all of you to look for that and sign up to watch that. Many, many resources of what's happening in Congress, other pieces of legislation, other ways that you can think of programs that come about on detention from some of the detention organizations and other issues. So I'll recommend that. And then I just am curious, are any of you going to the National Convention, or do you know people from your local leagues that are going? Because they are this immigration national group is looking for people that can help spread the word about their caucus and kind of beat the bush ahead of the vote for that national program. But Cindy, you're going? Okay. And I will be there. I'm one of 2 of our members who will be there in person.
I think
But
Susan said she was going to.
Susan Stark?
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, good. Well,
Wait,
Susan, are you on the are you been monitoring the Google group for the immigration?
Oh.
No. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll get you both to sign up on that. There are a couple people that post almost every day with more information probably than you want to read, and they just give a link. to it, which is a little frustrating because until you open it up, you don't really know the content of it. But, congressional action or other, they have their fingers on a lot of organizations having to do with immigration. So they post great information. But I think that the webinars that they do are the most useful for me, at least.
I might have missed this, but how do we find the webinars?
The webinars, you need to be kind of on their Google group.
Is the National League?
The National League's Special Interest Group on Immigration. So
We'll send you the link in a letter.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
an email after this.
And Lori, are you also in Montezuma League?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Good. We don't have anybody here from Durango, do we,
No.
tonight? But that's a start. So that's the national, and now we have a state task force on immigration. So that's another thing that you can be monitoring.
Can I ask you what you think of the state immigration task force? I know we've done a lot of sort of speakers. Is that helpful to you, or would you like to see a different kind of speaker, or what? Do you have any thoughts on that? Anybody? Okay. Does anybody come to them?
People are coming, Kathy, and they're
Sometimes
archived
people-
on the YouTube. They're usually recorded, so you can watch them.
Yeah. We had like 68 people at the one on conditions of detention centers in April. So, but I just didn't know if maybe you guys had something that you wish we would do, or please, if you think of something, send me an email and that'd be great. Does anybody have any other things from their local league they'd like to throw out that maybe some other league could pick up and run with?
The only other thing I would mention is that I think the faith communities, if you have like an interfaith or a council of churches or even a Together Colorado chapters have an immigration justice vein that runs through their work. I think those partners that are nonpartisan, that have a passion for this and have other ways of finding advocacy and networks that they work with is really something that League could find as allies in your communities. Along with the statewide CERC, AFSC, those are organizations to look at what they're doing, get on their email lists.
Yeah.
Because they have great resources.
Do any of your local leagues have a volunteer list together, a list of volunteer opportunities for your members to get more involved for immigration? Lyndon?
We just have a volunteer in general.
Oh, okay.
But then any team could put up a volunteer wanted for that.
And I think we could do that too. We just haven't, but we could definitely do it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like to see us get is if the local leagues would put something together in their local area. The immigration task force is trying to work on some of the ones that we know of, but then we could have a list of all through Colorado, and there would be different levels, like whatever people are comfortable with. Are you comfortable demonstrating? Are you comfortable helping immigrants go to the doctor? Are you comfortable getting food? Are you comfortable going to the detention center and visiting people? So that people would, because the biggest question we get is, how can I help? That's what people want to do. They want to help. And if we had a place for them to go, no matter where they lived, I think that would really get our members involved in immigration advocacy. But that's a dream I have. If anybody wants to pick up in your local area and do some of that work, that would be really good, I think, for the state and for the league. And then I wanted to make sure everybody has a chance to either ask questions or Susan, if you have other things that Denver's done that you wanted to mention, because we're all doing different things. We have education, we have advocacy, and we have action. And I think if we share our ideas among each other, we'll be much more successful across the whole state. Does anybody have anything else like that they'd like to mention? Go ahead, Beth.
One more thing that I will suggest to you that I have found useful in giving me other ideas of groups that are working in this area. And that is a podcast called Faithful Resistance. Comes out of Jefferson County, the Unitarian Church there. And it very often is on immigration issues. They interviewed Jeanette when she came out of her detention. They talk about what other organizations are working in the immigration space and how you can get involved, whether it's mutual aid or going to a rally or tabling, or that there's going to be a Know Your Rights presentation coming up. So I just would commend that to people, and it's really something that I've passed on to people in other states too, because the interviews that they've had are grassroots organizations that are doing things around justice issues. And very often it's been immigration.
Great. Beth,
I'll put it in here. It comes out of the Jefferson, it's some podcaster from Jefferson UU.
Okay.
Unitarian Church.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to know. Yeah, we have a presentation there Thursday night on housing, and we're partnering with them.
Yeah.
Great.
And I met her at the No Kings rally in Estes Park. I saw her with a sign that said Faithful Resistance, and I just went up and talked to her. She's like,
interesting.
Oh, yeah. I said, I like your sign. Where'd you get it? And she said, well, I have a podcast called Faithful Resistance. And then here we are, 8 months later. I'm like addicted to her podcast. So she's looking for people to be on her podcast. So if any of you have some great ideas of folks, send them her way.
Great. Beth.
Yeah, I don't, Linda, I was on late, so I don't know if Linda already maybe mentioned this, but we did do something called Signs of Solidarity, where we did work with both Isaac and Indivisible to go to businesses and distribute Know Your Rights information, and also these beautiful posters that were designed or distributed by Isaac that we were able to put up with beautiful butterflies on them in the windows to show that immigrants are welcome here, that we're all one community kind of thing. And you can see these now around Fort Collins. So it's a nice way for people to know that if they see that sign that, here's a business that is willing to display that. So we have been working, like I said, closely with Isaac and also with Indivisible. And I know, we have to be careful because they're obviously partisan. But we, two of us on our Unite and Rise team now are part of what they call community connectors, because they're trying to do that also. Indivisible work with partners in the community. And so we're on their community connectors where we get together with them often. And so we're trying to find ways again to work with them, whether it's postcarding or things that we know we can do that will be something we can do together. So again, I think we're just trying to find ways to tap into what's already happening in our community rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, but, kind of find that.
No, I think that's a great idea. And if you look on the national website, Indivisible is listed as a partner. So
yeah, and we've done quite a bit with them on the No Kings rallies. We've
right.
been very
and they're a
involved with
great
them.
resource.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What about immigrant-owned businesses? And I mean, when you say immigrants are welcome here at this business, but and I don't know how we would do it, but encouraging our members to to purchase things or go to restaurants or go to dry cleaners or whatever it is that are immigrant owned. And we've done it for women owned businesses, I think, but immigrant owned businesses, I think, are important for us to support too.
We've also, that reminds me, Susan, we've partnered with some organizations that are immigrant led and really promote that, especially in Loveland. There's one called Heart and Soul that we have partnered with, and I think if you have those organizations in your community, they're good because they have the identity factor that many of our local leagues don't have when you do Let's Talk or a voter registration table. You know, they will be Spanish speaking, or they will have people that can speak other languages to reach into those immigrant communities.
Yeah, I think that's really important to really marshal our Spanish speaking members and also to make connections with other people that might assist us with that. Lori, if you want to connect in Southwest. Oh, great. Thank you, Lori. And I lost my train of thought. It's already 8 o'clock. I hope you guys have found this useful. Would you like to do this again? And maybe I'm trying to get some of the other local leagues. It's hard to really get communication with our local leagues, but you know, I hope that you think this is worthwhile. And you know, please, it looks like Cindy thinks it's worthwhile. If you guys, would you like to meet again? And if so, how often? Anybody have any ideas? I was thinking maybe quarterly. Do you think that feels right? Or do you think it needs to be sooner? Or what do you think?
It occurs to me, maybe, when would quarterly be? That would be April.
That would be July.
July. I was going to say after the national convention. I
Okay.
think that after the national convention, those of us who are there might bring back and hopefully say, now we have this concurrence. And is there something with this concurrence that we can then do in Colorado? Does that spring us into some new actions?
Okay.
So that would be July.
Okay. You guys, are you good with that?
Yeah.
And thank you, Kathy, for bringing us together.
Well, thanks for coming. I'm really pleased that we got so many people to come, and I'm pleased that you guys are all working in your communities and, you know, spreading the word. So, you know, the more people we have, the better success we'll get. So I appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Yep.
Beth, would you stay
Bye.
on for a second, please? Do you mind?
Kathy, what did you say?
I just wanted you to stay on. I did not mean to quash
Oh,
her.
no. That's okay. That's okay. No, I understand what you're saying. You know, I guess I just don't want us to be so cautious that we don't end up helping with things, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree.
So yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want it to come across like, you know, the state's telling the local league that they can't do something.
No, I understand totally. That's fine. You know, it's like anything else. Anything this day and age, you have to be careful how you do it. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's really no different. So yeah.
And sometimes the distinctions are really sort of superficial.
hmm
You know.
There's perceptions out there that people
Yeah.
Oh
will
yeah,
jump
yeah,
to conclusions.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Beth,
So
I'm
So you
glad you got,
just have to
Yeah.
work around it. So we will.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came on and put that article up in the chat.
Yeah, and Linda, just quickly, I'm so glad you texted me because I had a lot going on this afternoon, and then I had a Zoom call with my brothers, which we do once a month. And
Oh,
once
nice.
it's over, I was totally thinking about that and totally spaced out this call. So if
All
you
right,
had
well,
sent me a text, I would not have been on at all.
well, I'm glad you just came in 40 minutes late.
So yeah. Yeah.
So I
So
wanted you to
thanks
talk
for that.
about that butterfly thing. I mentioned it briefly, but I didn't
Okay.
have quite all
Yeah.
the details that you did.
Okay.
So good.
Sounds
Well,
good.
this
Well,
is
thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
all
Okay.
How do
right.
you think
Good.
it went,
Bye-bye.
Linda?
See
Bye
ya.
bye, Beth. Kathy, I
Linda, how
thought
do
it
you
went
think it went?
well.
How do you think it
Very
went?
well. You asked all the questions I was thinking of. It's
Oh,
like I
good.
was like assuming the questions to you and shall we meet again and how often and was this helpful and yeah. No, you're definitely on the same wavelength as I am. Or you're my
Cool.
mind reader.
Yeah, we got a lot more people than I thought we'd get. I was thinking it'd be about 8,
Yeah, well there was what 15 at least
15 or
16.
16. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just need to tally now who we didn't have and press on them.
Yeah. Well, I know that Arapahoe Douglas is having their board meetings, so I knew they wouldn't be here, and there were
Okay.
at least 2 people from there. So,
Okay. All right,
so
well, Weld. I wish we could get Weld
yeah,
because they've got so much
I
going
gotta
on
stop the
there.
recording. I forgot. I don't know how.
Oh.